Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Men must investigate situations. You know what, and this is a real problem I have with men. This is a real problem I have, well, I'm going to say with many men. There's real men who don't do this, but I've noticed that too many men don't investigate situations. They'll hear a rumor, but they won't take the time to find out, is this true or not? They won't address the source of the rumor or what's going on or find out what's really happening. And that's some bull. Because first of all, that means that man's a follower. If you just listening to stuff and you just taking it at face value, you're a follower. It's like, no, investigate situations. And I'll use the information I give when I talk about body game or charisma or anything related to relationships. What have I always said? I said, go out there and experience. I said that several times. I said, don't just listen to what I'm saying. Go try it. Go try it. I always tell people, go try it. Don't just accept it as gospel or even reject it as gospel. I said, go try it. And that's why I always said over 20 years of having my material out, no one's come back to me and said, you know what, Rom, I did every single thing you said in here, and it still ain't work for me. And I'm going to be honest with you. That surprised me because I said, my thing is, okay, I said my thought was most people would get something from it, but I said it's impossible for everybody. Well, that's what I thought. It was impossible for everybody to actually do what I said and get it. That's just life. And I was prepared for that. I went into it prepared for that. And even told guys, hey, and and if somebody ever said something, I'll say, oh, okay, well, that's too bad. It's like learning martial arts. Somebody might do one martial art and they just totally suck at it. Then another one they perfect for it. You might have somebody who, because whatever reason they can't do all those crazy kicks and everything. They might have to just take up regular boxing, which is a martial art. So I'm like, it's the same thing. So, and I was prepared to, but, but people investigated it and did it and it worked. And that's how men's supposed to be, which I appreciate. But the others didn't. Now, let's move away from me for a while. I see too many cases where a man will hear something and then don't really look into it. I was like, did you look into that? It's like sometimes, I'm going to tell you something, and this is a pet peeve I have. When somebody come to me and they say something like it's gospel and all that thing, and I'll be like, so have you researched that? They'll just give their opinion. They'll give their feelings. So it's like, well, what type of research did you do on that? What's your basis for it? I mean, I don't mind disagreements, but at least give me a basis for it. I mean, maybe you can teach me something new. Maybe I can learn something, right? Because I'm going to tell you what, every single thing I do, let's go back to me again. And just to be clear, this ain't about me. I'm using myself as an example because my thing is I don't ask people to do stuff I haven't done, all right? But everything I talk about, I've investigated, right? When I first heard about the imprint, I didn't just say, oh, that's it. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it in mind. But then I interviewed probably at this point, a couple hundred women. I started talking. And then I would, even now, if I have a casual conversation with a woman and she's open for it, I'll say, hey, tell me about first guys you with. And then I'll compare that to what she's dealing with now, right? And also the man's thing, everything. And that's nothing wrong with men doing it, right? Let's get into something I've talked about. And in fact, when I did that self-improvement summit back in February, one of the things I talked about, the main thing I talked about was the house of the man. And the 4 pillars of the house of the man, which real quick are the warrior, the eagle, the hunter, and the healer. Now, the ego especially, the ego looks out at stuff. They explore stuff. They look into stuff. They study history. The true ego is using logic, is using intelligence. They're going to investigate it. They ain't going to just follow. They ain't going to follow it. They're going to say, okay, this person said this, this, and this. Let me try it. When people tell, and honestly, that's the ego. When a person say, oh, okay, I hear you. Let me try that. Let me use the body game, for example, again. The guys who accepted, they went in the gym, they lifted, or they were already lifting. They say, oh, yeah, I'm getting it on this. I'm getting it on that. Boom. That's anything. Or if somebody tell me, well, if you do this thing, it'll work, or it should work. I was like, okay, let me try that. All right? Men should do that. Men, that's a man. A man needs to investigate. Like, the very nature of a man is to go out. He's not supposed to just sit on his ass and just take in information and just simply be receptive. That's female shit. They need to ask first. Because when a man makes a decision or takes an action based on the maybe a rumor or faulty information, what happens? He loses. He looks stupid. He gets called on something. You ask him, well, did you research this? No. Do you have personal experience in this? No. You just going on your feelings. Feelings are good for women. Feelings are good for women. Like, let me go off on a tangent real quick, because this is very important. Too many guys are looking for women to be logical, and they have a bit of logic in them, but they are not supposed to be logical. They're supposed to be emotional. And that was some game my grandmother gave me, because she said if women were logical, they wouldn't deal with a lot of men. Trust me, if men complain about not getting women now, if women got logical, they wouldn't deal with most men. And also, too, their emotion allows them to deal with different children. That was the main thing my grandmother said. You say you might have that one child. You could have a woman could have two girl children. Or one is like super feminine enough, and the other one is like a straight up tomboy. Might even be a hellion or something. But the woman emotionally has a connection. That's how women are able to have children. Because if they were logical, shit, most of them wouldn't have a child. That's how the human race goes on. So, they supposed to be emotional. Now, getting back to the main thing, a man in his logic, he needs to say, okay, I done checked this situation out. This is what's it. I've done the research. I've talked to people. I actually saw, this works. Or, they might research it and say, that's incorrect. That's incorrect. It don't work. And that's very important. That's very important as a man. Don't accept anything. Like I said, I'm going to reiterate. I've even said, don't just accept what I'm saying. Right? Go try it. Because I'll give you another example regarding me and what I sell. Because I remember I had a gentleman. He said, well, convince me that I should buy your stuff. And I said, I don't convince people. I don't convince people. If you ain't feeling it, I ain't going to try to convince you. You got to see it. Now, you've heard enough information, what I might say on these videos. Go out there and try. Go see. Go look around. And be objective, though. Don't take your emotion out of it. See, that's another thing. A lot of men, there's too many men who are more in their feelings. They let emotion dictate to it. And there's nothing wrong with emotion. All men have emotion, but you're supposed to be more logical and rational. See, understand something. Let's go back to the house of the man. If you look at the 4 pillars, the piece that needs to be the most emotional is the healer. And even then, the healer is restoring something. All right? But if you say the warrior, you can't be emotional because you got to be able to conquer that fear. And what you doing, you defending something just because it has to be defended. And the ego is a predator. It's an apex predator. So, yeah, you're using that logic and everything, that rationality, but you're using it for a reason. You're taking emotion out of it. You're looking at just the logic and the rationality of it. In fact, the ego should have the less emotion of any of them. And then the hunter is an assassin, cold-blooded. Nothing lives unless something dies. Like a true hunter, they're a little different from the warrior. You fuck with a hunter and stuff, even though the hunter's main thing is getting resources and stuff. You fuck with a hunter, they'll slice you up. But there's no emotion there. They cold-blooded. They getting what they got to get. So that's how a man should be. More investigate, check out the situation. Just don't accept something, even if it's from someone you normally trust. Just say, oh, okay, let me look into that. Let me look into that. Don't be a follower. Don't be in that like emotional energy. So that's all I have for today. I'll get back with y'all later. Peace.